Hey everyone, we are back and we are going to be talking about simplifying algebraic expression, and this is in chapter 1, lesson 5. So to simplify algebraic expressions, simplify just kind of means you're going to put it into its most condensed form. Algebraic expressions, remember expressions means we're not using equal signs, and algebra means we're using a combination of letters and numbers. So to do that, you really have to understand two different concepts. The first one are like terms, like terms and unlike terms. And that's really the nuts and bolts to this section. So like terms are something, they have the same type of variable. So here, 3x and 2x, those are like terms. And with like terms, you can combine them, but we're not going to do that right now. Well, let's just identify what is a like term and what is an unlike term. So here, they both have an x. And so that is a like term. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says W and W divided by 7, or W over 7. Now these both have a W. And even though this is a fraction, it's still okay. They both have a W, and these are like terms. The next one is 5 and 1.8. They're both numbers, and anytime you have numbers, those are like terms. So you can do anything with numbers. Those are like terms. So we've talked about what like terms are. Let's go ahead and talk about what unlike terms are. So let's look here. 5x squared and 2x. Now, if we understand what 5x squared means, that means 5 times x squared is the same thing as x times x. And that is not the same thing as 2 times x, which is 2x. Because here, x is multiplied by itself twice, and over here, x is only multiplied by itself one time. So these are not like terms because the exponents are different. This has a 2 in the exponent, and even though there's no number here, it actually has a 1 there. But it's kind of just a known 1. But so this has a 2 in the exponent, that has a 1, and whenever there's a 1, you don't write it. It's just understood. Like W right here, you don't write 1W, but 1W is the same thing as W. It's just understood that 1W is the same thing as W. Okay, let's look at this. This is another example of things that are not like terms. Here you have 6A, and here you have 6B. So we have two different variables, and whenever you have two different variables, they are not like terms. They're not the same variable like W and W over 7 or 3x and 2x. These are like terms, and those are like terms, but these have two different variables, so they are not like terms, okay? So yeah, it has to be the same exact letter. Okay, let's go on to the next one. We have 3.2 and N. So 3.2 is a number which you can combine with other numbers, and N is a variable. You cannot combine numbers and variables. Numbers can only be combined with other numbers, and N can only be combined with other N's. Okay, so let's look how this works out. So this is kind of like a pictorial. There's a bunch of x's. So there's 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x. So that represents 4x plus, here's some more x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5x. So notice that 4x plus 5x, they have the same variable. So these are like terms, and so we can combine them by just adding the two numbers. So 4 plus 5. 4 plus 5 is 9, and you just keep that x on the end of it. So 4x plus 5x is 9x. And if we look here and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's the same thing. And they all have that same x. So this is how like terms work. Whatever has exactly the same variable, you can just add them together and you end up with 9x. Okay, let's look at 7x. Now, these two things have names, right? This is 7x, or it's 7 times x. That's what that means. This 7, we already know what the x is. The x is called the variable, and we've talked a lot about that. That's the variable, okay? Now, this 7, which is the number in front of the x, it also has a name, and it's called a coefficient. Okay? So whenever you have a number in front of a variable, it's called the coefficient. So variable, coefficient. All right, let's get going. So chapter 1, lesson 5, simplifying algebraic expressions. It says look at the expression. So we have x. X is the same thing as 1x. Okay? Then here we have x plus x. These are like terms. Whenever you have x plus x, that's like 1x plus 1x, which means 1 plus 1 is 2x. And then we have x plus x plus x, which is x is the same thing as 1x plus 1x plus 1x. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is actually 3x. So if you see here, we have variables. The variables is x, but we also have coefficients. We have the coefficients would be 1, 2, and 3. Those are the coefficients of x. So for this first example, we're just going to identify what each coefficient is. So what is the coefficient of 3n? What is the number in front of the variable? The variable's n, so the number in front would be the 3. The 3 is the coefficient. Okay, what about number 2? What is the coefficient of 7y? Well, what's the number in front of y? The variable. It's 7. So the coefficient is 7. Ooh, what about this one? The coefficient is, this m is the same thing as 1m. So this would be, the coefficient would be 1. And how about 9? Well, with 9, this is a tricky one. There is no variable. So there is no coefficient because we don't have a variable. So it would be no coefficient. But really, what we can, if we did make this an expression, it would really be 0x plus 9. Right? There's our 9. What's 0 times x? Well, anything times 0 is going to be 0 plus 9, which is going to be 9. So we could actually say, we could say no coefficient, or we could say that the coefficient in front of the variable would be 0. Okay, that one was kind of tricky. Okay, let's go on to the next one. It says an algebraic expression can have terms that are separated by addition and subtraction. In the expression 2x plus 5y, the terms are 2x and 5y. Okay, so here we go. We have expressions, and then we just have terms. Terms are just the individual components of that expression. So here, if we have this expression, 8x plus 4y, 8x is a term, and 4y is a term. So the terms would just be 8x and 4y. Okay? Let's do the next one. So we have m, that is a term, and also 3n is a term. So when it asks you what are the terms would be m and 3n. Okay? Here's another expression, 4a squared minus 2b plus a. So for this one of the terms would be 4a squared. Another term would be 2b. And then the third term would be a. So we have 4a squared, 2b, and a. Those would be the terms. Lastly, we have 6D plus 2B. So for this one, the terms would be 6D and 2P. Those would be the terms. So sometimes the terms of an expression can be combined, only like terms can be combined. So here we have 7W plus W. So the terms have like terms, 7W and W. So you can just combine those. 7W plus W, W is the same thing as 1W, so 7 plus 1 is equal to 8W. Here we go, 2x minus 2y plus 2. Well, if we look at these terms, we have 2x, and then we have 2y, and that's different. That's not the same thing as 2x, and then we have a number. So all three of those things are different, so we cannot combine them. So the answer is 2x minus 2y plus 2. It's exactly how it was. Okay, let's look at the next one. We have 8e minus 3e, and that's a like term because it has an e, plus 2e. Okay, so those all have an e, so we can combine all of them. So addition and subtraction, just order of operations, are on the same level, so we just go left to right. So 8e minus 3e is equal to 5e plus 2e, and 5e plus 2e is just equal to 7e. This last one here, we have 5d plus 25g. Now those two has a d and a g, so those aren't like terms, so that we can't combine them, so we just have to leave it as it is. So 5d plus 25g. Okay? So there you go. So to simplify an expression, what you do is you combine like terms and then you add or subtract the coefficients of the variable. So we kind of just did that with this one. 7w plus w, they both have a w, and that's 1. So 7w plus 1w is just 7 plus 1, which is 8w. Over here, we have 6y plus 1 minus 3y. So we have 6y, and then we have 3y. And then there's a positive 1. So we can go 6y minus 3y, which ends up being a positive 3y, and then plus 1. So that's how those would work, okay? So we've done quite a few problems here. Now what I want you to do is I want you to work on these problems down here, and I want you to simplify them by combining like terms. So go ahead and pause, and when you get done, press play, and we'll go over them. Perfect. You are back. Let's see how you did. So here we have y plus 5y. Remember, y is the same thing as 1y, so it's just these are like terms. They both have a y, so it's 1 plus 5, which is 6y. That is the answer. If you got that one right, great job. Okay, the next one, number 6. If you see here, we have a 9x minus 4x. They both have that x, so that means they're like terms. So basically what we're doing is 9 minus 4, which is just 5, and then we add that x on there, so 5x. If you got that one right, great job. On to the next one, 5s minus 2s. So we have a different variable, it's an s, but it's the same. So we can just combine like terms and just go 5 minus 2, which ends up being 3s. Okay, on to number 8, 3d plus 7d. Now, for this one, they both have a d. So since they both have the same variable, we can just combine them. 3 plus 7 is 10d. All right, on to number 9. So for number 9, we have 3b plus b plus 6. So 3b, and then this plus b. So they both have b's, so we can combine those. And this b is the same thing as 1b. So we can go 3 plus 1, which is 4b plus 6. But b and 6, that is a variable and a number. You can't combine those, so that is our final answer. So if you got that one right, that one's a little tricky. Great job. Okay, on to number 10. We have 10a minus 3. So here, 8a has an a, and minus a has an a. So we can combine those. However, 3 doesn't have an a, so we cannot do anything with that. That's going to stand how it is. So 8a minus a, and remember a is the same thing as 1, so it's 8 minus 1, which would be 7a minus 3. And we can't combine those, so this is our final answer. Okay, move on to number 11. And we have 2p plus 4p plus r. So there is a p here, there is a p here, and then there is an r. So the p's are the only like terms. So we can go 2 plus 4, which is 6p plus r. But we can't combine the p and the r because they're not like terms. So that's our final answer there. And the last one right here, number 12. All right, what do we have? 9b minus 8b plus c. So we have a b here, we have another b there, and then we have a c. So we can combine the b's. So 9 minus 8 is just 1b plus c. Now we can't combine the b and the c, so we just kind of leave it like this. But instead of writing 1b, I just like to write, I know that 1b is the same thing as b plus c, so I'm just going to write my answer as b plus c. Now, if you got those right, great job. Okay, and we'll see you next time. Bye.